Hi Guy.
Good morning, Mitch. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. It's really nice to have seen you using some hand tools.
Yeah, Mitch, you're absolutely correct. You have to use some hand tools sometimes, and I like to use hand tools. I don't want to do everything just with power. And to get some of these joints right and to tweak them properly, you have to use hand tools, chisels, hand planes, things like that. So.
Well, you know, in the video it came across in your voice that you were having some pleasure using the hand tools, so I was pleased to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things I saw in your video that I really liked that I never thought of before was actually cutting the wedges from the waste of the material of the tenons. It's just brilliance as far as I'm concerned. Waste not, want not.
Little trick I've picked up from you Yankees.
Who in particular?
Maybe someone called Norm? I don't know, I don't remember.
Norm did that?
He may well have done. I've seen it somewhere.
He's done everything.
I was thinking about you using power tools, and when you were cutting the sloped ends to the mortises, I was thinking if you had a lot to produce, then you could make an auxiliary base on your mortiser at a slope, and you'd be able to cut those sloped ends first of all.
Yeah, you could do that, and but then again, you've got to cut a wedge, get the exact angle. It just adds a lot of complicity to the whole thing, and it's not really necessary. When you're cutting those ramps, as I call them, with the chisel, it only took maybe 2 minutes, and it's some very, very light paring action. In other words, you're putting yourself through a lot of rigmarole for not a whole lot of benefit.
That's true. If you've got your chisels nice and sharp, it's no effort at all, really. One thing I like, Guy, was that super simple jig you had for cutting the wedges.
Yeah, it's nothing I came up on my own. It's been done a lot, but I felt I should show it. And it's important to get that angle right when you're cutting those wedges, because it helps make sure that those wedges seat in there firmly and give you that nice internal dovetail, and it's consistent on both sides. So, but yeah, it's a very easy jig to make.
That was great to see. I'm sure the viewers will have appreciated that.
Yeah. Another thing that we really didn't talk about, either one of us, in the videos was the direction that those wedges have to be put into the wood. You want to make sure that when you pound them in, you're pounding the wedge part up against end grain. If it's going with the grain, it can split those pieces of wood, which is a very important factor.
That's right, absolutely. And another thing I saw, was talking about the mortises and the tenons, the speed with which you were able to cut those tenons using a table saw and bandsaw, very quick and very repeatable as well, with the stops that you've got on the table saw and also the fence on the bandsaw.
Yeah, that's one big advantage to using power tools, Mitch, is that you can set the machines up, you can batch some of this stuff out, and I really like that, the tenoning jig, which is a very inexpensive tool in the scheme of things, and it just makes life a lot easier. But you know, your method also with the hand tools, there's a couple times when you're making just that one joint where I'm reaching for my hand tools quite a bit, because I don't want to set up my tools to do this one operation. If I'm doing a bunch of them, yes. If I'm doing just one item, no, I'm just going to go to a hand tool because it's much quicker.
Absolutely.
Another thing that I really liked, Mitch, with the way you did it, was the efficiency of how you marked everything up. It was all directly on the piece. There was almost no measuring at all. It was just boom, 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 some marking knives, a mortise gauge, and it came together very quickly.
I find it quite easy to do it that way, Guy. And of course you're taking out the step of transferring a measurement. If you're doing it directly, there's no chance of the old Chinese whispers syndrome carrying out there, and you're ending up with measuring off the wrong length on the next component.
Yeah, it takes all the guesswork out of it, and it's very exact that way.
Something we didn't really mention too much in the videos, I don't think, was leaving a little collar of square mortise on the tenon component side to to protect against the wedges causing it to split beyond the shoulder line. It doesn't happen very often, and there are other methods of stopping that as well.
Yeah, I noticed you left about 1/4 of an inch, well, probably better than 1/4 inch, probably about 3/8 of an inch maybe, and I went down about 3/16 of an inch. I've done this a few times, but not probably to the extent that you have. And I've never had a problem with the wood splitting after driving those wedges. I know some people will drill a hole at the bottom of that as a relief for it. So
I've certainly done that when I've made fox wedge tenons.
Yeah, that's something I've never tried. I'll have to give it a try sometime. You know, another important thing that I did touch on in my video was the importance of the grain direction and the type of grain that you're cutting those wedges out, in my method anyways. It's got to be straight grain, and you have to make sure you orient it the right way.
Absolutely. Obviously the way I cut mine from the waist, it's going to be straight grained because that's the way you organise your tenon to be. And also when I do it from the waist from the tenon, I get a match for the wood, and you can't really see where the wedges are. Your method, you see the lovely contrast. So there's a design issue there, which way you want to go.
Yeah, I did it out of the maple just so they were a little bit more apparent on video. And just like your video, Mitch, I did cut my wedge tenon open, so I'm going to hold this up for the camera now, and maybe the viewers at home can see it. I know you can't right now, but it came out very nice. I also snipped the points of my wedges off before I drove them in, just so I made sure they didn't bottom out. So there's probably about, I don't know, I want to say about 3/16 of an inch where it didn't go all the way to the bottom of that relief cut, which is not a big deal. The important thing is that it's wedged in there, and the dovetail inside that mortise formed completely.
That's right. You did mention in your video when you were banging them in that you heard it bottom out, and of course what you meant was you heard the sides of the tenons going up hard against the ends of the mortises, and you get a different tone on the hammer when you get to that point.
Yeah, that's it exactly. So.
And you don't want to keep hammering after that because you'll only cause damage.
Correct. You don't want to damage it, especially if you've gone that far in the process.
Of course, we both damaged ours by cutting them in half, but that was for the viewer's sake. Well, it's been a lot of fun making this video. Don't forget, we need more ideas, so Twitter with the hashtag #handorpower, or leave a comment, or email us directly. Till next time, cheerio.
We'll see you later, Mitch.